Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks again for joining me while we ask the question, where's my pullback? So, most normal commodities, real estate, stocks, magic, they've all done the same thing where at some point they move up to a certain level and then people around the community decide that that level is high enough and then start selling their cards back into the market. It finds an equilibrium that's a bit higher than where it used to be and lower than the peak. Then it moves up from there after a certain amount of time, usually when people realize that that is now the base level price of that card and get over it. Right now, that's not happening to a lot of people because a lot of people are holding on to their cards because they think the prices are going to keep going up. And the people that want to jump in, they are still buying. That is the point that we actually need to find out is at what point are people going to stop buying? Alpha Investments has done a video today which pretty much covers the fact that no one saw this coming. No one could have predicted I guess, the response to what happened, which was all controlled in some ways by the governments and central banks. They couldn't foresee the response of the free, I guess, money that was going to come in and beyond the normal earnings of a lot of people around the world. And if not that, at least the amount of liquidity that was going to be pumped into the banks around the world. Now, I don't think the banks are going to be buying magic cards, but I wouldn't actually be too sure what the hell they're going to be doing. I'm sorry. Because it seems that no one can trust currencies right now. It's a really weird situation. Probably won't last very long, especially when interest rates go up, which they might or may not, based on what the Reserve Bank of the US does, because they are the reserve currency. If interest rates go up and they allow free market to keep going, then prices have to come down as more people realize that paying off interest is something that needs to happen and liquidity dries up. Right now, everyone is promising free money in the form of debt. You borrow money, you put in something, a couple of days later, a couple of weeks later, a couple of months later, you're pretty much expected to make a return at the current market situation that's going on right now. Now, the reason why I'm talking about a pullback is Magic is still influenced by the players, the people, and the investors, which means at some point they are going to have to decide that, hey, people aren't buying at this price. Let me lower the price because the other guy that bought is starting to lower his price. And then there's going to create a situation where it's going to start creating falling prices as everyone's trying to get more money or currency into their hands to buy or move into another product. Kaldheim didn't do it. Wizards of the Coast has kind of run themselves into a corner where the new sets are not creating a demand by selling old products. The old products, on the other hand, are shooting up in demand because Wizards of the Coast has been printing so much of the new products that no one can really trust them to invest in long term. It's probably something that they foresaw, but I'm not too sure if they ever thought about the long term consequences to the Magic game and what's happening. I actually have another video for Kaldheim and why the prices are so low, beyond just the fact that a lot of the cards may not be in rotation right now. No one wants to pick up the hard cards. Lots of LGSs are still closed. Beyond that, the main reason is everyone's looking at the reserve list. Everyone is looking at the reserve list. I have people commenting, and I've just started, pretty much saying, yeah, I've given up playing Modern, I've given up playing Standard, I'm playing Magic Arena, which is mostly free, and I buy reserve list cards because I can make some funky decks with them in Commander, or I just keep them on the shelf, which when I first made these videos, I laughed at that. I didn't, obviously, who would have thought that it made financial sense to do that? Obviously, it makes sense now because the prices are going up, but that's usually not a good trend to always follow. Um, I will say that what's happening right now to a lot of the dual lands seems to be a case of the average price pulling back. And that could be for a couple of reasons. One of the main things is because I think they found that less people are buying it at these prices. The people that wanted to buy it, the fear of missing out, went in and headfirst dived in, bought these cards. Now, there is still an average price that's starting to move forward. Even the market price is starting to move, maybe not lower by any considerable measurement that I can tell, but obviously in preparation for the stimulus that was going to go around the world one more time, just announced just a couple of weeks ago, that might have been priced in at this point. So I'm just saying, while prices might still be going up, there's more risk to the downside. What do I know? None of this really makes sense in an average market, and this market is spinning circles around most people, so it's probably a better idea to just do what you're meant to do in a market, which is consistently keep getting something out of the market whenever you can. So, if you have a set, it's like, I'm going to spend $50 a week buying cards, and you're going to move from $50 to normal standard cards to reserve list, then you keep doing that with the prices going up or down if that's your long term. I think that's what Alpha Investment today says is stay your course. In the long term, the market should adjust. Actually, that itself is probably not 100% true. It's just that's what the market has done. And with the way the currency works, it does make sense that at least inflation will keep something that cannot be printed more than the currency that it's backed up by without gaining value over time. So, if you have a card that gets printed 10 times and you have a currency that gets printed 100 times, the card should move up in value compared to the currency. So, there's less inflation in the card, I guess. It's hard to explain. But anyways, moving on. I'm just rambling at this point. But I wanted to just see that a lot of these dual lands are starting to come back down. Another thing is that if I was going to pick up any of these right now, I would probably try to pick not, because the problem is you don't know what the quality of the cards are. But I would probably be careful about some of these cards out there because they differ in price so much that the manipulation is pretty much what's pushing up the price of these cards. And the fear of missing out then brings it back in. Here's the best part. There are some cards coming back in. This is more cards than I saw yesterday, and that's more cards than I saw the day before coming back in the market. A lot of them are actually lower priced than they were before because I saw some lightly played ones for a lot higher than this, but that was because of manipulation, I'm pretty sure. And I can still see there's a couple weirdly priced cards around because to push the averages around. But you can probably find some good value in these without breaking your bank. It's just I still would be careful because there is a point where people will bring these back into the market. If you're trying to make I'll buy and then sell it to someone for a higher price, that's a pyramid scheme that only works so far. There's only so many people in the world. So I'm just saying that's not always a safe bet. But it does look like a lot of these are flatlining again with the most likely the stimulus around the world priced in. And you got to remember, cut down on the government stimulus, but also talk about a new unemployment scheme. I don't know what that means. They might mean that the unemployment payments will now increase per week. So, hopefully that means wages, but I doubt it. Another thing is, I actually don't know if I can trust eBay anymore for when it comes to reserve list cards. I know that people have good experiences, people have bad experiences. It's just that when someone says, "Oh, very fine reserve list card, dual land, ooh yeah, very fine, see photo," and then the photo looks like this, I just look at it and go, "Okay, great, yeah, you could not have messed that up anymore. Like he used a camera." Like even 20-year-old camera wouldn't do this for any other reason than just blurring it up. Most likely, I have a jeweler's loop or whatever to just make sure that it's got that little dot L in the green circle, which I want to make a video of, but I couldn't get a perfect video of it. But I might just make like a little paint thing and say this is what it's meant to look like. But when it comes to quality, if you buy this for 479 and it turns out to be like a heavily played or a damaged card, which it doesn't look like, it's just bad picture, which already removes the trust. then you're just going to have to figure out, hey, who's going to buy this after me? And what happens if the market goes down by 10, 20, 30%? Like, is this now going to be half the price? Am I okay with that? Those are all questions that you guys are going to have to ask. And I guess from my side, the one card I wanted out of all of these cards all of these dual lands that are left was Tiger. And as far as I can tell, when I was looking at the prices a long time ago, they were sitting around the 250 mark, and it's bumped up a bit. The average is obviously much higher. The TCG is selling the medium prices of like 400. I feel like for me, that's too much. Obviously, I had a plan over the last 6, 7 months. It stayed to that plan until about 2 months ago. And ever since the last 2 months, I've kind of been off the plan. I know a lot of people like MTG Moxman and Alpha Investments would be like, stay the course. And I actually agree with that. I am saving up the money, which means that once I get up to my savings, I will probably get it because it's one card and I'm not putting 100,000, I'm not going all in. But it's just something that right now I'm willing to just save and see what happens before dipping my toes in again. Also, guys, if you can like the video, I know that I've been rambling a lot, but if you can like the video or subscribe, that'll be great. Thanks. Moving on to the last thing that I wanted to talk about. So I think the fact that the prices are increasing once again is going to create a lot of schemes and ways to cheat people out of their money, because I am seeing not only things like this, but I'm also seeing like repacks for cards saying that you might find a dual land. I don't know how much money this guy makes. I know that, that's probably honest. It's just you're playing the lottery at that point. And people that play the lottery normally don't ever win in the long term. So when it comes to long-term investing and things, it's probably not a good idea to gamble unless you really like the feeling of opening up these packs and making sure that, you can draft them or something. I don't know why you try to draft a repack anyways. But I would be very, very careful about what's out there. And, if you don't like the market, if you don't, if you think that the market's getting out of hand, if you think that you missed the boat, I will let everyone know, just like Alpha Investments did today. And I actually think that's a very good video he put out. No one expected this. I don't know who's buying. Alpha Investments obviously kept the course, but he also sold a lot. And he was saying like he went through a lot of his inventory over the last couple of years, because that's just what you do. He's trying to make a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% gain every year. Long-term investing, smart guy, especially since he did work at those big banks and stuff like that. I think that's what his story was. When it comes to long-term investing, you can expect those kinds of returns, but then once a card doubles and triples in 6 months, no one really expects that. No one goes, oh yeah, I'm going to keep holding on to this card because it might triple the next month. It usually, and I've said this before, usually when people start thinking, I'm going to hold on to this because it's going to double again, triple again, it's going to be 10 times, it's going to go to the moon, that's when the problems strike. Always. They always come back to bite, because people are all thinking the same thing. And when they all think the same thing, and then some other guy comes along and undercuts everyone and dumps his supply because he knows that the market is just frozen at that point, and he has money that he can make, like actual real profits, not paper profits, and he does that, then all of a sudden everyone just starts getting scared, and then they dump it even harder. And that's the scary part, is when people don't make room or expect things to only go up, they never expect how bad the downside is. So if everyone's thinking the prices are only going to go up, they're not expecting the prices to go down, which means that they can do stupid shit. They can take out a bank loan, they can take out credit loan, they can do some stuff that'll make them very desperate. That's when things go bad. And right now, I don't think the world has been more leveraged than it is. And whether or not, interest rates rise and all that, that's something that we're going to just have to keep an eye on. Anyways, guys, thanks again for watching. And yeah, sorry, rambled a bit. But if you like these kinds of videos, this is kind of half of what I'm going to be doing. But anyways, thanks again and have a good one. See ya.